Part 62. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 616. Busy as hell, she went to Qianling's house to eat dumplings. At the dinner table, she chatted about today's events and told Qianling about Lin Zongheng's plan. She wanted to ask her elders for their opinions. Qianling smiled and knocked on Han Qian forehead and said softly, "Why do I hold grudge against Lu Shenga?" Han Qian kept calculating the benefits on his way home. Can Lin Zongheng really do such a charitable thing? When Luo Shen dies, if that good-for-nothing boy Luo Fu wants to inherit the Luo family's position, will he ask him and eunuch Lu for help? It must be this brother-in-law who helped him get 2 million. No matter how stupid he is, he can't cooperate with Han Qian and Lu Shenga, the eunuch. Then Han Qian thought again, Lin Zongheng's best ally is his father, would he abandon his father and choose him and Lu Shenga? This isn't right. With questions in his mind, Han Qian took out his cell phone and called Lu Shenga to ask about the matter. "Eunuch, do you think bastard Lin would really be so kind? Let us share this piece of cake together. Do you believe it?" Lu Shenga on the other side of the phone smiled. "Hey, you're a local dog who doesn't bite, but you're starting to use your dog's brain? Lu Shenga made a big deal out of both of us, but it has nothing to do with me whether this cake is baked with Luo Shen's firewood. Luo Shen's death now, I see the wind is moving and Luo Shen is not dead, so I won't move. Anyway, it won't cause any loss to me." The car stopped at an intersection with a traffic light. There were still 3 or 4 seconds before the light turned green. The car behind him started honking. Han Qian frowned, turned off the engine and got out of the car. He lowered his head and lit a cigarette and walked to the curb. Squatting down, he said calmly, "Are you sure it has nothing to do with you? If you want to go to the Yamanmen today with Lin Zongheng's recording, he would never think of telling the Luo family that Luo Shen's death has anything to do with you. Eunuch, you have a criminal record, but I have one now. New plan. Luo family. I'm not afraid. I'll take a look at Lin Zongheng's plan first. Mad dog. If you can think of calling me today, let me tell you one thing. Lin Zongheng will force you to take action against the Luo family. I'm going to play games if I have nothing to do. I spent more than 2 million and still can't beat it. Play games, exercise, torture people." This was something Lin Zongheng used to vent his excessive energy. Of course, Han Qian and others are also scheming, but they can't be confused together. He is inhumane, young, and may go crazy if he cannot find a suitable outlet. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian walked to the Cayenne behind the Panamera, reached out and knocked on the car window, holding a cigarette in his mouth and said calmly, "Are you still anxious?" The middle-aged man driving the car said nothing. The scantily clad woman sitting in the passenger seat was also nervous in the car and did not dare to speak. The guy driving the car recognized Han Qian. Han Qian smiled and patted the car door and said with a smile, "Don't be so anxious when driving in the future, safety first." Paramela started the car and left slowly. Han Qian was not afraid of demerit points at all. "Need a driver's license. Go find Cheng Jin. His buddy's driver's license is on the corner of his desk, gathering dust. He's gone." The owner of the Cayenne heaved a sigh of relief, and the girl on the passenger side whispered, "How come you don't even recognize my uncle's car? There's only one in the city with the license plate number 234. You, oh, you, don't come out to drink in the future. It's too scary. Have you sobered up now? Wake up, I didn't notice it was my uncle's car just now." The 8th district is an area where karaoke bars, billiard halls, tattoo shops, and barbecue restaurants are concentrated. It can be said that there are no good people in the 8th district. That is because these people are not good people, so they all know Guandegu, and get to know the uncle in this young lady's mouth. District 8 calls him uncle behind his back. Of course, Han Qian didn't know this. He would be in a bad mood now, let alone someone who couldn't offend him. There was Mr. Tianwang sitting in the car behind him, so he dared to park the car here and leave. In Yates's words, Han Qian's violence was too strong. Why is it heavy? Let Nuan be imprisoned for 3 years. Han Qian is a normal person. 3 years of house arrest has made his proud temperament a little abnormal. If a person is normal after doing this, it can only be said that this person was not normal when he was not under house arrest. After returning home, Han Qian was not in a good mood. Qian Ling's words echoed in her ears. She didn't want Han Qian to become like Lu Shenga. She didn't say it directly, but she expressed her meaning clearly. Bad mood. Because he couldn't figure out how much benefit Luo Shen would get if he really died, how much Lin Zongheng would get, and how much Lu Shenga would get. If it was only 33,333, Han Qian felt that it was not worthwhile. The Luo family's 3 plus the Lin family is no longer as simple as 1 add 1 equal 2. What did Lin Zongheng take? The Luo family's property? The support of the Luo family is still to use the empty shell of the Luo family to contain the blood of the Lin family. He has joined the ranks of the capital. Can Li Jinhan still intervene? Will the road to warmth be difficult to walk by then? This bastard is getting stronger. Will it be able to withstand his pressure and attacks when the time comes? It's not as simple as killing someone. Also, do bastard Lin and eunuch Lu have a plan behind their backs? The more he thought about it, the more annoyed he became, and his mind was full of mush. When Han Qian came home, the 3 women saw that this guy looked wrong and did not dare to make a mistake. Han Qian did not say hello to them, and walked to the sofa to sit down. He covered his head and closed his eyes and sighed. The 3 women eating seafood at the table glanced at each other, and then Wu Qingxi and Yu Shisai moved their heads to Wen Nuan at the same time, and Wu Qingxi whispered. What do you usually do when Han Qian is in this state? Yu Shisai whispered. What's wrong with him? It's scary, he started smoking again. I'll go make him a cup of tea. After saying that, Yu Shisai stood up, skillfully found tea leaves in the guest room and went to the kitchen to make tea. Wen Nuan frowned and glanced at Han Qian and whispered. Before? It's never been like this before? He usually doesn't bring troubles home. I'll open a window. Qingxi, you eat slowly. No need, I'd better open the window first. Afraid of warmth. Is Nuan actually timid? This is the first time Wu Qingxi has seen Han Qian and Wen Nuan for so long. She always thought that Wen was an invincible little bully and that Han Qian was obedient to her. Now Han Qian's frown frightened her. Nuan Wen originally wanted to tell Wu Qingxi to ignore him, but Han Qian's frown prevented her from finishing her words. She put down the crab in her hand and ran to open the window of the living room. Then she ran all the way back to the dining table, picked up the crab and continued eating. Wu Qingxi became curious and whispered. Nuan, are you afraid of Han Qian? Wen Nuan nodded vigorously. Afraid? It should be said that when he has a smile on his face, I am the king. When he is unhappy, I don't want to provoke him to avoid a quarrel. Are you two still quarreling? Why don't you quarrel? They quarrel fiercely every time. Besides, how can a couple not quarrel? Eat, eat, eat. I'll get you a beer. Wen Nuan stood up carelessly. As soon as he walked to the door of the refrigerator, Han Qian spoke. Seafood beer, you want gout? No, I want to get juice. Drink water. Juice, milk, and beer are not allowed. This time, Nuan did not glare at Han Qian. He sighed feebly and took out 2 bottles of water from the refrigerator. Just as he was about to turn around, Han Qian closed his eyes and spoke again. You're coming soon, auntie, drink at room temperature. Wen Nuan sighed and looked at Han Qian helplessly. Is it okay for me to have tea at the head office? Drinking tea and eating crabs can easily lead to stones. Just drink water. Okay, okay, my grandpa Han, can you please drink some water? I'm so annoyed. I've been nagging you all day. Putting down the water, Wen Nuan murmured in a low voice, and then saw that Han Qian wanted to speak, so he said quickly. Stop. I was wrong, I'm sorry. I drink water. Wu Qingxi, who was sitting at the dining table, looked at Nuan and Han Qian with wide eyes, her eyes constantly lingering on the two of them. Is Nuan, this little phoenix, claiming to be a slave? Oh my God, no one will believe it if this is spread, but it is the truth. 2 bottles of water were placed on the table. Wen Nuan didn't care about what happened just now. He picked up the crab and moved it away. He stuffed it into his mouth in 3 strokes. His movements were surprisingly skillful. This is all based on experience. He whispered while eating. Next time. Let's go out to eat to avoid him nagging us, huh? Didn't King Hu tell you when not to provoke him? While talking, Yu Shisai came out with a teapot, sat next to Han Qian and poured a cup of tea. Wu Qingxi looked at the 2 people in the living room and shook her head gently. I didn't say that. She told me that Han Qian's temper is a bit bad and he is not as kind as he seems on the surface. Nuan curled her lips after hearing this and whispered. It's a bit bad at first and last. I caught up with a poem once. Just ask her. If he gets really angry, don't make any noise or make a fuss. Just say, don't contact him again. Who can bear this? Oh, why are you nagging all this? After being with Han Qian for a long time, I started to nag. Han Qian drank a cup of tea and passed by the dining table when he got up and went upstairs. Wen Nuan stretched out his hand. Han Qian struggled for a while, took out a cigarette and put it in Wen's hand. Then Wen took out 2 cigarettes and put them in Han Qian's hand. The rest was thrown directly into the trash can. Just 2 sticks? I'll give you one when you wake up tomorrow morning. Otherwise, you'll be so upset that you'll take 1 stick after another and you won't be able to live anymore. Han Qian frowned and looked at the 2 cigarettes in his hand, and Yu Shisai continued. Yes, pump less, it will affect the quality of sperm. I will watch Wen and Qingxi and not let them drink tea. You can go and rest. Han Qian turned his head and said helplessly. What are you talking about? What a big girl, don't say anything. I'm a little annoyed and it affects you. When I have time, I will cook and apologize to you. You can play as you like. I will automatically block you when I sleep. Everything. At 11 o'clock, Wen Nuan tiptoed into Han Qian's room holding a pillow. Looking at the 2 cigarettes placed next to the pillow under the faint moonlight, Wen smiled, quietly climbed into bed and lay next to Han Qian. Unexpectedly, the next second, Han Qian took him into his arms from behind and whispered. I'm very tired, let me hug you. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 617. Weekend. Han Qian woke up in the morning, washed up, changed clothes, and was about to go out. Only when Yu Shisai told Han Qian that today was the weekend, Han Qian closed the door and looked at Yu Shisai, frowning. Why are you up so early on a weekend? Yu Shisai looked at Han Qian who was coming to the sofa and said calmly. Work. There are no holidays for workers. I can't compare with a big boss like you. How about I be your secretary? I heard that you gave Yates a salary of 2 million a year. Sitting on the sofa, Han Qian smiled. The annual salary given by Wen Nuan should be more than 2 million, right? Hasn't King Hu always claimed to be my secretary? Let you 2 get together to fight. We are different. She is just an administrative secretary, and I am a life secretary. You act like a gangster, What a bastard secretary. Han Qian, what happened to you yesterday? I heard from Kingsley that you went to play golf. Aren't you in a good mood while enjoying yourself? Did you get scolded by Aunt Qian? Han Qian shook his head. Why is she scolding me for nothing? It's just that something has caused me to feel conflicted. It's not right to move forward, should I retreat? I'm also a little unwilling. I want to reach out and don't know whether to go left or right. I have a slight difficulty in choosing. Isn't this torturing me? Shishi, tell me, what do you think of Luo Shen? Yu Shisai tilted his head and held the pen in his mouth. He thought for a long time before speaking. I have not had much contact with her. I heard from the company's employees that the president's wife has a little more smile than the vice president. She is pretty good to the company's employees. At least she doesn't show off her power in the company just because she is Lin Zongheng's fiancé. Of course, this it's in the company, I don't know what it's like in private. Why are you so interested in Luo Shen recently? After speaking, he pointed to the door of the guest room and whispered. Isn't this big star the same type as Luo Shen? She is a mature woman. If you can't help but attack Luo Shen, you might as well hook up with this big star. But the benefits are much worse than Luo Shen. If you don't value benefits, I can also be a little more mature. Han Qian took out a cigarette under the edge of the coffee table. Yu Shishi took out a lighter from his pocket and lit it for Han Qian. Han Qian frowned. You have only two things on your mind this day, one is research work, and the other is researching me. Why are you hooking up with Luo Shen when I have nothing to do? I heard that this party is held at Yezai Pavilion. Do you have any ideas to win the development rights? Yu Shisai narrowed his eyes and smiled. No, and I won't take it. Chang Xiang's goal is not in the tourism industry, but after the tourist area is confirmed to start construction, Chang Xiang will choose hotels, restaurants, small commercial streets and other projects. Chang Xiang originally relied on hotels to start its business. I will choose areas that I am not good at. Han Qian admired the girl's serious attitude towards work. Among the girls he knew, Yu Shisai was the most dedicated. For Han Qian, this was one of her few advantages. Han Qian smiled and said nothing. Yu Shisai was a bit gossipy about the relationship between Han Qian and Luo Shen. While chatting, Wu Qingxi walked out of the guest room, rubbing her eyes and yawning. Why did you get up so early? Han Qian, where is your water? If you open your eyes, you can see this big refrigerator sitting there. Go and get it for someone else. Do I deserve it or owe you something? I told King Hu you were teasing me. You are so shameless, you are just reading the poem here. Why am I teasing you when you have nothing to do? I have a big head. Han Qian's face was filled with disgust, and Yu Shisai chuckled. No. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't see the teasing or not, okay. You two can play, I'll go upstairs and finish some work, then take a nap, and I'll go shopping with Nuan in the afternoon. Qingxi, will you go? At this moment, Wu Qingxi was standing at the door of the refrigerator, holding a bucket of ice water and pouring it down. When she put down the bucket, she wiped the water from the corner of her mouth. She felt as if Wu Song was going to go up the mountain to fight a tiger. She shivered because it was too cold. He shook his head. I won't go. I'll be watched. You two go shopping. I'm going to beat the dog today. After finishing her words, Wu Qingxi rolled up her sleeves and walked towards Han Qian. Did you just call me blind? Han Go, let me tell you, you are finished today. Seeing Wu Qingxi coming over, and seeing the muscles in the girl's arms tightening, Han Qian panicked and kept saying. You, stay away from me, be careful because my bestiality will show up and I will rape you. As soon as he said this, Yu Shisai, who originally wanted to go upstairs, put down his computer and sat on the sofa. He looked at the two of them with his chin in one hand. Han Qian yelled when he saw this. Why are you so excited? I learned to learn. The noise on the first floor woke up Wen Nuan, who was still sleeping. The girl went downstairs and frowned slightly when she saw Han Qian being pinned to the ground. Then she walked to the balcony, opened the window, stretched, and then covered it with her hands. Chest, glaring at Han Qian angrily. The couple didn't speak, and they could tell each other's thoughts without even looking at each other. Wen Nuan clenched his fists and whispered threats. Hit you. Stop being busy with poetry. Your eyes are almost 400 degrees. Just take a day off, okay? Let's go shopping. I have no clothes to wear. I'm looking for someone. I feel that both of us have become fashionable. 2 words went off the rails, oops. An ouch full of resentment and anger startled Wu Qingxi. Wen Nuan turned her head and glared at Han Qian, who was lying on the ground drawing circles, and said angrily. I asked you to enjoy being the vice president. If you don't go, you can't let me relax. How hard have you worked? Han Qian raised his head and glanced at Nuan Nuan, then turned to Yu Shisai and pointed at Nuan Nuan. Look, is this human language? When the words came out, Yu Shisai covered his forehead. Don't. I don't know. Wen Nuan walked forward and sat next to Han Qian's head. Han Qian turned over and rested his head on Wen Nuan's legs, smiling. If you want to buy clothes, you can go to Yang Lan. I have never seen my sister wearing the same clothes since I started working. Snapped. Nuan Nuan slapped Han Qian on the forehead, turned around and smiled naively. Yes. When I said that, I remembered that Yang Ian's clothes are really good. Every time I see her, she makes people feel bright. Give me Han Qian's mobile phone. It's on the coffee table. You didn't even keep any notes. How would I know which one belongs to Yang Lan? The one with the tail number 1777. Nuan Nuan took Han Qian's Nokia, flipped through the address book, then frowned and said in a deep voice. Lu Shenga and Lin Zongheng have been in contact with you very frequently recently. I'll take care of you after I finish buying the clothes. Han Qian continued to lie on the ground and draw circles, not taking the threat to heart at all. After calling the phone, Wen Nuan smiled and chatted with Yang Lan. When they finally asked to go shopping together, Yang Lan said that the child was at home today and could not leave. Han Qian quickly sat up and shook his head at Wen Wen. Warm smiled. Bye bye. It just so happens that Han Qian has nothing to do today. I asked him to pick up Bai Bei and play. Let's go shopping and look at clothes. The main reason is that I want you to be my consultant. Come on, okay well, let's drive there right now. After hanging up the phone, Nuan Nuan took Wu Qingxi's hand. If you don't want to take care of your child as a nanny, you'd better go shopping with us. What you're worried about won't happen. After saying this, he stepped on Han Qian with his toes and said softly. You will pick up Bai Bei later and give Yang Lan a weekend off. Han Qian frowned and sighed weakly. You've already agreed, what else can I say? If you go out shopping today, prepare a little more money, whether it's black hair or poetry, and Yang Lan and the others are not richer than you. I'll go out with you. Don't be too willful. You also owe others favors inside and outside. Give me money. You are my husband, and your wife is going shopping. Han Qian's eyes widened in anger. He took 2 deep breaths, walked to the refrigerator, bent down and took out a card from the gap under the refrigerator. There are a little over 70,000 in it. You know the password. It's gone. It's the last card. The warm result was that Han Qian threw the Agricultural Bank of China card in his hand to Shi Ci. The password is either 135,246 or 112,233. There won't be a third password. He can't remember it. Just change his clothes and go out. With Panamera in front and Audi A7 behind, Han Qian led the way to Yang Ian's house. On the way, Yu Shisai curiously asked Nuan why she wanted to take Han Qian's last bit of private money away. She was not short of money, Nuan said with a naive smile. You don't understand the joy of asking for money, and you still ask for money as a matter of course. Besides, who should I buy beautiful clothes for? Shouldn't I just show them to him? Wu Qingxi asked curiously. Wu Han, do you want to buy underwear or sexy underwear? Yu laughed loudly after hearing the poem, and when Nuan tilted his head and thought about life. When they arrived at Yang Ian's house, Yang Lan had not finished cleaning up. When he opened the door, his hair was still wet. He was holding a pair of Bai shoes in his hand. Han Qian walked into Yang Ian's house. The house was not small, and the toys in the living room were all over the floor. Yes, there are still a few pieces of clothes on the sofa that have been changed. Han Qian's eyes twitched and he said with a trembling voice. Sister Yang, please find a cleaner if you have nothing to do. This is a bit unexpected. Yang Lan replied with an indifferent expression. This is usually the case in the homes of women who live alone. Just get used to it. There are a few people like Jing who have nothing to do and keep their homes so clean. I don't have a visitor this year. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Baibei ran and shouted. Mom, 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 where are my shoes? The next second, Xiao Baibei stopped looking for his mother. He opened his arms and jumped directly into Han Qian's arms. He hugged Han Qian's neck and kissed his uncle hard on the face. Uncle! I miss you so much. The uncle and niece held their heads, and Xiao Baibei held Han Qian's head and giggled non-stop. She really liked this uncle, a little less than her mother, and a little more than the aunt who grabbed snacks. After having enough intimacy with his uncle, Xiao Baibei bent down with difficulty in his uncle's arms in front of the three aunts at the door. Hello Uncle Mua, hello Auntie. When Nuan smiled and touched Xiao Baibei's head, and then Yang Lan spoke. I'm going to change clothes, and then we'll go out. When Yang Lan changed clothes and came out, Wen Nuan thought that Han Qian did something right today. A black casual suit top is paired with a gray t-shirt, a pair of high-waisted wide-leg pants, and a pair of canvas shoes. When going out, Yang Lan takes out a black sports hat and puts it on her head to cover her untied hair. Her slightly dressed appearance makes her look a few years younger than the warmth and Yu Shisai at the door. As soon as they went out, Wen Nuan and Yu Shisai held Yang Ian's arms, one on the left and the other on the right, and Wen Nuan said seriously. Are you taking a disciple? The kind of person who becomes a master. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 618. Yezai Pavilion became Han Qian's first choice. During the glory holiday, he could only fight with the security guards when he went there. He felt embarrassed if he won, but was unwilling to lose if he lost, so he brought Baibei to Yezai Pavilion. The weather has been really good recently, to be exact, it's very hot. Han Qian called Su Hongchang and asked him to find someone to clean up the swimming pool. Su Hongchang ran over in a hurry and ordered people to release water to clean the pool. Han Qian was lying on the sun lounger, and Xiao Baibei was sitting on Han Qian's belly holding an apple in his hand, eating it all over his face, but Han Qian was stunned and didn't say a word. Just pamper him. If Baibei was a boy, he would have been thrown into the pool by Han Qian by his collar. As a little girl, be more pampered. He is well informed and will not be deceived by others with a few words. Su Hongchang sat next to Han Qian and laughed softly. Young Master Han, whose child is this? He is so strange and rare. Han Qian put his hands behind his head, closed his eyes and said calmly. My little niece looks so good, but she doesn't tolerate it at all when she makes my uncle angry. She just slaps me hard. Hee hee, don't you think it's awesome? Awesome. What can Su Hongchang say? I dare say it's not awesome. If Wu Qingxi were here, she would definitely ask Han Qian if what he said at KFC yesterday was a fart. Of course, Han Qian also had his own excuse. Why does the little girl care so much? The water was released in the swimming pool. Han Qian put a life jacket on Xiao Baibei, then he carried his niece and threw her into the water. The little girl flopped in it like a little frog. Han Qian watched closely so that Xiao Baibei didn't cry. No fuss. Han Qian smiled. Where can you find such a well-behaved child? His mother went shopping with Nuanuan. I have nothing to do today, so I will stay with the child here. Lao Su, how is the store doing? Why don't you have a meeting here at the Yamen gate? Can you tell me in advance? Su Hongchang was frightened and panicked, and kept saying, My Mr. Han, it's not that I didn't tell you about this. I just mentioned it at the Yeomanman. I don't know yet whether we are working here or not. I don't think the Yeomanman can come to our wilderness either. What about Ling's service? Our hotel is only 10 miles away from the urban area on a paved road, so it's inconvenient. We don't dare to believe what the Yeomanman said, so I'll tell you after I confirm the matter. Han Qian shook his head and listened. Su Hongchang was a little confused about the little boss's thoughts. He was very afraid of Han Qian. This young man could prosper in the city. One Feng Lun was never enough. He could leave in the future. There is no way to estimate how far it is. Han Qian picked up the stick and hooked Xiao Baibei back to him. Xiao Baibei glared at Han Qian angrily, and then smacked it with all his strength. Water splashed on Han Qian's body. He was not angry and smiled lightly. Road. I don't mean to blame you, I just want to ask you what you think. If I heard someone say that I landed here in Yezai Pavilion, the Yeomanmen have been avoiding me recently. I will ask about all the messy things. They just messed with me and didn't say a serious word. After all, I might be abandoned by the Yeomanmen. Don't you regret following me, Empress Su? Su Hongchang sat on the green bricks by the swimming pool and said quietly. It's too late to run away now. What's the use of regretting? Just follow along. The son will not think the mother is ugly, the dog will not think the family is poor. You should add that Su Hongchang doesn't think Han Qian is a fool. You are neither a son nor a dog. There are only two dogs in Binhai City, the one who looks after the home in District 8, and the Korean dog who has to bite whoever. Go. Go and get busy. I won't be here during the party. If you encounter any trouble, call me immediately. Su Hongchang knows. Lao Su stood up and bent over and returned to the hotel. Han Qian lowered his head and looked at Xiao Baibei splashing in the water and threatened. Putong, I'll buy you summer homework. This was a bad thing to say. The little girl fluttered even more happily and howled when she opened her mouth. Han Qian tilted his head and frowned. He was stunned and had no choice. Finally, he made peace with the tone of discussion and decided to buy it for her after he had enough fun. The toy calmed her down. The little girl was playing in the water, and Han Qian was lying on the edge of the pool looking at the sky. Hey, my whole life is in the hands of women, and my reputation is in the hands of women. Damn it, I have to find that old Taoist priest sometime to figure it out for me. Was I a lone star of evil in my previous life? Oh shit. You are not allowed to curse. Oh shit. Xiao Baibei, you were cursing and I beat you up, do you believe it or not? Oh shit. Be good, I'll ask Aunt Ye to send you a car later. Okay. What the hell is this? Han Qian called Yates, and then continued to look at the sky. After 10 minutes, Xiao Baibei seemed to have had enough fun, climbed up the stairs, took a towel, wrapped himself into a cocoon and sat down Han Qian's side. Brother-in-law. Han Qian turned to look at Xiao Baibei, whose face was dripping with tears, and smiled fondly. What's the matter? Wow. The little girl pounced on Han Qian, hugged Han Qian's head and shook him. Han Qian did not resist, nor did he stop Xiao Baibei's mischief. The little girl wanted to act like a baby. With Yang Yian's character, Xiao Baibei's acting like a baby was equivalent to the end of the world. 10. Xiao Yang Jia? Maybe he's not as mature as Xiao Baibei yet. Han Qian doesn't mind when Xiao Baibei brings him into the role of father in her world. He likes this child, that is, he likes to make trouble no matter what. After a while, he fell asleep lying on the side. Han Qian was worried about catching cold on the ground, so he picked up Baibei and put him on the sun lounger. After a while, Yates came. This woman actually came over in the whole car. The car was more than 1 meter long and about half a meter high. She was holding the remote control in her hand. The car drove over with a buzzing sound. Xiao Baibei, who had just fallen asleep, opened his eyes instantly and looked at in the large remote control car. Han Qian sat on the lawn and looked at Yates helplessly with his head tilted. Can't you bring it over? Do you have to wake me up? Yates pointed at the large remote control car in front of him and frowned. Come on, Mr. Han, come here and try. I am a weak woman. Han Qian stood up and walked forward, reaching out to pick up the car. Then he thought about it and called Xiao Baibei over and let her sit on it. Yates controlled the direction of the remote control car and said softly. Why did Mr. Han start coaxing the children today? I didn't expect you to have this skill. Han Qian shrugged. Let's learn. You won't have to worry about it when we have children in the future. Are you ready to get pregnant, Ms. yet? Yates turned to look at Han Qian, narrowed his eyes and smiled. Would you like to try sleeping in the same room tonight? Then you have to touch it first and see how it feels. As soon as he finished speaking, Yates ran away, glared at Han Qian, and controlled the remote control car to hit Han Qian. Han Qian quickly dodged and said anxiously. Child. You tiger bitch, please keep an eye on our affairs. Don't hurt the child. You bastard, why didn't you think the child was here when you teased me? Didn't you send me the photo first? Do you blame me? Miss Yeh, you are a bit shameless. Yates smiled, took a deep breath, smiled gently at Han Qian, and then turned around to display his unique Buddhist skills. Absolutely. Han Qian bullied me, and he wanted to touch me. After saying this, Han Qian slapped himself, but he couldn't curse in front of his children. Then when he saw Sister Wan Wan walking over, Han Qian suddenly felt a chill in his crotch, and a faint pain in his balls spread into his heart, and he said with a smile. Sister Wan Wan is here? I told you earlier. My brother has prepared a banquet for you. Let's celebrate. When the words came out, Wan Fang's face instantly darkened, and she looked at Han Qian with gritted teeth, while Yates held his stomach and laughed. Mr. Han, you are really hitting the gun. Today is Wan Wan's birthday. She doesn't want to be mentioned that she is already 20, Before she finished speaking, Wan Fang covered her mouth and glared at Han Qian. What are you looking at? My sister is 18 years old. Yates opened Wan Fang's hand and smiled. Yes, 18, it's been 11 18th birthdays, ha 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 ha. Ah! Adulterer! I'll kill you both. Wan Fang was so angry that she stomped her feet and hurried back to the hotel. Yates was stunned this time. She was so angry just now that she forgot that she had asked Wan Fang to come and deal with Han Qian. Now that Wan Fang was gone, Yates looked at Han Qian, who was approaching step by step, was a little panicked. Han Qian held his chin and clicked his tongue. Tisk, 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 white shirt, black skirt and black silk high heels, you look like a proper assistant secretary. This mouth, this waist, tisk tisk tisk. Walking towards Yates with a lewd smile on her face, Miss Ye stepped back step by step and said in a trembling voice, "Mr. Han, don't act nonsense, the child is still here." Han Chien narrowed his eyes and said softly, "Don't worry, she won't understand. Mr. Han, there are already many women around you, please stop." Han Chien approached and Yates retreated. When Yates's back was pressed against the wall with no way to retreat, Han Chien stepped closer with a lewd smile on his face. "Back off. Scream. Su Hongchang won't let them come and cause trouble. Miss Ye's waist is the most delicious I have ever seen, and these hands." Yates tried to distance himself from Han Chien as much as possible and swallowed hard. She was really a little panicked. It was okay to joke, but it was not possible to do anything serious. Yates was about to collapse. Han Chien took a step forward again with a smile and raised his head. He reached out to Yates. "Bring it to you." Han Chien snatched the remote control from Yates's hand, then turned around and left, controlling the car that Xiao Baibei was sitting in to come to him, and muttered, "Hit me with a car? This is really awesome for you." Han Chien squatted on the lawn and looked at this little Land Rover. This thing was really impressive. The most important thing was that it really had an engine. Han Chien was looking at the car, but he didn't know that Yates behind him was looking at it. Han Chien's eyes were filled with murderous intent. "I've given up resistance, why don't you take a humming remote control and leave? Women are strange. If you touch her, she will call you a gangster, but if you suddenly have no interest in her, she may not say that you are a good person. She really wants to slap you on the back of the head with a brick." At this time, Yates is like this thinking about it, "I really regret that I don't have a handy weapon, otherwise Han Chien's head would have blossomed." So-called scholars can be killed, but not humiliated. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 619. Miss Yet. Your Miss Yet is dead. Yates. Dead too. Yeah Yet. Eldest grandson. Zhizzy. Han Chien, can you stop being so disgusting? Stay away from me, further away, further away. Any further and I'll fall into the pool. Drown you. Xiao Baibei was tired from playing and was taken to the office to take a nap by Wu Sijuan. Xiao Baibei knew Wu Sijuan. Besides, this child was not afraid of things and was very courageous. When the little girl left, this big girl became a monster. I don't know where she was provoked. Her angry look was like that of angry Li Kuei, and his face turned dark. Han Chien was puzzled, and Yates simply ignored him. Han Chien took a step closer, Yates took a step away, moved closer, and hid. Finally, Yates bent down, grabbed a handful of grass, and threw it in Han Chien's face. "Go up, turn around and run." With high heels stepping on the soft lawn, Han Chien squatted on the spot and looked at Yates's back, saying loudly, 3, 2, 1. Oops. Yates fell. Miss Ye sat on the ground and covered her ankles. When she looked at Han Chien again, her eyes were full of mist. This time, Han Chien didn't dare to add insult to injury anymore. He walked forward and picked up Yates, muttering in his mouth. He was mumbling so much that Yates couldn't hear clearly and frowned. "Mr. Han, what are you muttering about there? You're not thin." "Han Chien. I will fight with you." Sitting at the table to eat at noon, Xiao Baibei was stunned and couldn't get up. He said he hadn't woken up. Han Chien was used to eating when he woke up. However, Han Chien was a little embarrassed at this moment, and his collar was torn. Several people had ambiguous looks in their eyes. Wan Fang said something carelessly. "Why are you two so wild? It's like you haven't seen a woman in hundreds of years or a man in thousands of years." Is that the case? As soon as these words came out, Han Qian was unhappy, pulled open his collar and said angrily. Look, look, this was scratched by me. What can we do? I just said she was not thin, and she ended up like this because of me. Wu Siquan glanced at Yates, who had his head lowered, and then smiled at Han Qian. Yates isn't fat to begin with. I'm already 100 pounds, and she's still in her 90s. And my young master Han, can you be gentler to girls? How can you say someone is fat? If you want to take a fancy to Yates, I will give you some medicine. Han Qian raised his head and frowned. Let me ask you something first. How did you and Tong Yao meet? After saying this, Wu Siquan was a little panicked and hesitated to explain. Han Qian saw this and said again. I knew there was something fishy here. I didn't bother to ask you. I guess you can't tell the truth to me. Let me ask you a trivial matter. Have you been involved in the development of the back mountain? I don't think you have done anything in the city recently. Without the scattered shops, do you still have enough funds on hand? Wu Siquan put down the bowl and chopsticks and said seriously. With Yates and Wan Wan helping me take care of it, they have basically returned home. I came here today just to tell you something. The back mountain is preparing to develop a scenic spot. Hotels, inns, etc. will soon appear near the scenic spot. Yeji gave me a plan. I will not invest in the development of any scenic spots. The money I have is not enough to put my teeth in. She means that I should invest in street lights, road signs, and isolation belts on the road between the back mountain and the city. Han Qian laughed after hearing this, picked up the bowl and said with a smile. It will be slower to withdraw funds this way, and your money may be put on it. Of course, the Yamanmen are very willing to let you invest. You have to invest at least 400 yuan. The advertising fee for this thing is like 700 yuan a month for a couple. If you can rent it out, you can get back about 300 yuan a year. Excluding the money you give to the Yamanmen and the urban management, it will take you about 4 years to get your money back. Solar street lights should not cost much, but they do. If you can do it, how much support will the government office give you? Wu Siquan shook his head. I haven't told them yet, but I mentioned it to Luo Shanda and Gao Xiuxing. They said that if I want to do it, they will help me clear the relationship. Han Qian took a big mouthful of rice and said vaguely. Everything should be done according to the normal procedures first. Don't do anything superfluous. You should be able to win. You have to pay attention to the name of your plan. Don't say you want to make money. You want to change the appearance of the city and not allow foreign tourists to come. Look, there aren't even street lights in our coastal area. With Luo Shanda helping you from the front, it shouldn't be a big problem. Has this old guy spoken? Wu Siquan lowered his head and whispered back. Speak. How many? 200,000, treat me to dinner, but he raised the issue and asked what your opinion was. You agreed, and he took the money to operate it. You didn't express any opinion. He gave me 20,000 and asked me to go away and play in the mud. When Wu Siquan said this, his face was full of grievance, but Han Qian had no reaction. He turned his head and glanced at Yates, smiling. Yeah, you ticked me off. Why are you angry? Your plan should be more than just advertising space. Xiao Siquan's 1,000 won't be enough, right? Yates lowered his head and whispered. I want to open a villa. Piss off. Why? Where are you going to open a villa? Now there is no room for expansion in Yezai Pavilion. Open a villa at the entrance to the city after leaving the Huishan scenic area. You have a few 100 million to throw at it? After saying this, Yates was like a frustrated ball, poking at the rice in the bowl with his chopsticks without saying anything. Han Qian frowned, picked up the chopsticks and knocked on Yates's fingers. Just as Yates was about to speak, Wu Siquan and Wan Fang were there. shaking his head at her. In terms of certain rules, Han Qian was right. She lowered her head and stopped talking again. Su Hongchang on the side saw that something was not right in the atmosphere and opened his mouth to smooth things over. Master Han, can you please listen to Miss Yes' words? I don't think there should be so little ink in Miss Yes' stomach. Han Qian nodded and looked at Yates. You say. Yezai Pavilion picks up customers and sends them to the villa to rest for the night. There are always times when you get tired of seeing the scenic spots. There are usually tourists on the beach in summer. The villa can create northern characteristics. B/U0026BS, earthen kongs, floor tables, and firecrackers are used to welcome customers who come in winter. And once winter comes, it's not far away from celebrating the new year. To create the atmosphere of the new year, the current new year no longer has the same flavor as before. After finishing his words, Yates raised his head and looked at Han Qian and said quickly. Don't scold me. I won't build any more, and I don't have that much money to throw at it. I have a little money now, but if I can't, I'll buy the land. This plan sounds okay, and some mountain villas in the northeast are indeed very good and attract many people every year, but they didn't grasp the word New Year. It was impossible for customers to celebrate the New Year in the villa, but they wanted to give them a feeling that after leaving the villa and returning home, they found that the New Year at home was not as interesting and atmospheric as the villa. And Yates was right. The seaside is a popular place for tourists in summer, but not in winter. What if you sit on the hot pot and watch the sea in winter? On the 15th day of the lunar calendar, the bright moon rises over the sea. Want to buy land? Han Qian stretched out his hand to pinch Yates's face and asked seriously. Are you going to rebel? Set up your own business. Yates puffed up his mouth and flicked Han Qian's hand away, but the momentum he had just raised disappeared again, and he muttered softly. I have no money. My original plan for this plan was to build street lamps with Si Guan first, get acquainted with the Yamanmen, and then buy the land. I would invest the money after making money. It would also be a good time to see if anyone would come to the scenic spot after it is developed. Now that I have told you and you have attacked me, I can manage the hotel with peace of mind, liar. When these two words came out, Han Qian was stunned, stood up, sighed, and smiled. Liar? Huh. Han Qian had made a promise to Yates. He sat on the edge of the sofa and looked at the sleeping Xiao Baibai. Han Qian reached out and touched the child's head, thinking about the affairs of the villa in his mind. Wu Sijuan and Wan Fang sat beside Ye Ji at the dinner table. Beside Ji, Yates whispered to Han Qian to apologize, and Yates asked in reply. What did I do wrong? He said it to me personally, fly Yates. Now I want to fly. He said I was rebelling. What did I do wrong? As he spoke, he burst out crying and shed tears. Yates choked with grievance. I rebelled. Why did I rebel? Didn't I also want to take root in Binhai City? I am a woman, so why did I work so hard? Isn't it just to make the power behind him stronger and the funds more abundant? Why should I apologize? I have money, I can do nothing and I won't starve to death. I worked hard to plan and find solutions. Where did I go wrong? I'm right, I won't apologize. Ha! Han Qian smiled, not a sneer, but really amused. However, he did not comfort Yates. He stood up and told Wu Sijuan to take the child to the backyard to find him when he woke up. Han Qian went downstairs and heard Yates crying when he went out. He ran away. If he was asked to coax a woman from crying, it would be better to ask him to fight Feng Lun. It's difficult. It's harder than climbing to the sky. Back in the backyard, Han Qian took out his cell phone and called Cheng Jin. Old man, if I take out a loan, how many tens of millions can I bring out? Cheng Jin was a little surprised after hearing this and smiled. How much? Tens of millions. Don't even think about it, little bastard. You won't be able to loan out a penny. If Fenlun and Go De Peo are not arrested for a day, the bank won't be able to give you a penny. I'm curious about something. Do you want to? What are you doing with so much money? If you need money, go to Xiahua. I'm embarrassed to speak. Let's see if there is any good land near the exit of Binhai Road to Yezai Pavilion. I want to get a piece of land. It's bigger. It's as big as a village. Han Qian lit a cigarette as he spoke, frowned, and called Li Lijian to ask curiously. Little bastard, I heard Mr. Yan say that it's even harder to ask you to make a plan. Why do you suddenly start thinking about making money? This time our Yamanman can't be plotted by you again. Do you want land? Yes. Price? Let's have a negotiation. You alone can negotiate with our entire Yaman. Ha ha ha, hey. Han Qian smiled helplessly. He promised to do what he promised. Why? Because he is a man. Why? Because Lushenga, your grandson, can give it to you, and your brother can give it to you, Cheng Jin said in a low voice, listening to Han Qian's unusual laughter. Let's be honest, what are you going to do? After being called a liar, I'm trying to find a way to clear my name. Because of women? Are there any women around you who are short of money? Oh. It's true. Teacher Tong and Minister Ji are not rich, but neither of them can use so much money, right? For that female star? She has a good relationship with King Hu. You don't need to ask, Nuan and Mr. Yan are short of money. Shouldn't they? My child, listen to your uncle, take care of your health, don't go out to hook up with little girls all the time, okay? You can save some for the single, high-quality young people in the city. You old crook, the land will wait until your party is over, don't. I will go over to you in the afternoon to choose, and then you can discuss it. When you think you can negotiate better than me, we will negotiate the price. Come on, there are hundreds or thousands of people in front of the Yaman, but they can't beat you, a little brat. I, Cheng Jin, put my words here. If you win, I will resign. Aren't you humming cheating? I don't want it, okay. Let your land grow grass. When will you come? I'm taking care of the kids. I'll contact you when I'm done. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. He raised his hand and put it on his forehead, feeling a little tired. In the corridor of the hotel, Wu Sijuan stood in front of the window and looked at Han Qian lying in the backyard, and said softly. Yates. You can call Han Qian a bastard, a scumbag, and a beast, but you must never say the word liar. You never know how seriously Han Qian will attach importance to the word responsibility. If you say the word liar in anger today, Han Qian may have to use his life to prove to you that he is not a liar. This phone call should be for you. When the pain in your foot stops, go over and apologize, no right or wrong, he must be nicer to you than Lushenga, I'm going to take care of the child. Wu Siguan said what he should say, turned around and returned to the room. Su Hongchang passed Wu Siguan and stood behind Yates with a smile. I don't know if you are lucky or not. If you can climb into young Master Han's bed, I will call you mistress. If you are kicked away by young Master Han, I may not even give you a chance to live. Of course, now we are friends, colleagues to be precise. Yates put his hands on the windowsill and said calmly. Colleagues. In terms of history, civilian officials will always look down on generals. Of course, if you talk, I'll break my leg. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 620. Money. Now Han Qian needs a sum of money to serve as a springboard for Yates. This woman doesn't seem to be an embroidered pillow, but a large vase that can only be looked at. Han Qian doesn't mind giving her a chance, but where can he get the money? It was definitely not possible to find King Hu. He was using King Hu's money to make money. Han Qian couldn't bear it. He couldn't just squander it just because King Hu had more money. He was lying on the sun lounger, tossing and turning. Han Qian suddenly raised his head and looked at the man standing next to him. Yates on the second floor looked at him. Yates was startled and took a step back with his hands on his chest. Han Qian smiled and waved to Yeji. Miss Ye limped downstairs. When she walked to Han Qian's side, Han Qian was on the phone. Isn't it troublesome to think of you? A surprise, right? An accident, right? The voice on the phone was filled with resentment. Temporary father-in-law, you are not kind. I am really. I have been thinking about it all night, longing for a call from you. This is good. The caller is from a debt collector. What project? Who is the partner? Han Qian smiled, raised his phone and handed it to Yates. Yates took a deep breath and took the phone. Hello, I'm Yates. As night fell, Han Qian and Wen Nuan came to the exit from Binhai City to Yashai Pavilion. Han Qian stood outside the car smoking a cigarette. Wen was looking pretty in the car wearing a newly bought skirt, and Yang Lan was dressed like a girl. Like the little princess in a fairy tale, delicate and noble. The car at the Yamen gate has already left and the land has been selected. They went back to discuss whether to give it or not. Han Qian is not in a hurry. Although it is too early to sign this contract, the timing is that the Yamen gate is short of money. Is the best opportunity to haggle and bargain. The important point is that the Yemenman didn't know what Han Qian was going to do. Returning to the car, Nuan said softly. Let's go out to eat. It's too much trouble to cook at home. Does my little skirt look good? Han Qian looked down, stretched out his hand and patted the warm and slender legs, frowning. It's too short. The flesh is exposed outside. You have to wear shorts, but the skirt, you can wear it as pajamas at home. Nuan slapped Han Qian on the back of his hand and said angrily. Why are you so conservative? Let's go have hot pot with you. Han Qian drove all the way back to the city and went to Wula Manchu hot pot restaurant. Han Qian didn't like private rooms, so the two of them sat by the window. Han Qian was responsible for eating the meat, and Wen was responsible for eating. Han Qian was given green vegetables and didn't eat a bite. Han Qian was really not interested in hot pot, so he ate every bite. Then when he watched Nuan pick up all the meat in the bowl and stuff it into his mouth, Han Qian stretched out his chopsticks and pressed Nuan's chopsticks. Vocal channel. What are you doing? There are so many people, are you shameless? Nuan glared at Han Qian and whispered. Let go. As long as my husband knows whether I look good or not, I don't care what they think of me. It's better to be scared away. It's annoying to me. You let me go, or I'll bite you. Slow down, don't choke. It's your fault that I'm choking. I eat hot pot once every 6 months. I'm afraid people will laugh at me if I tell you. It's a luxury for the vice president of Tangtang Changjiang to even have a hot pot. If I talk about it too much, I'll shed tears. Waiter, give me 2 plates. Lamb, a plate of tripe and a shrimp paste. Han Qian shook his head and smiled, stood up and sat next to Wen Nuan, picked up the chopsticks to pick up the meat and put it on the plate to dry. Wen was really good. She didn't say nice things, and she couldn't do anything that would make people praise her. She was very humble to Han Qian when it came to matters. Han Qian doesn't eat crabs. She loves crabs the most and endures eating them once every 2 months, mostly when Han Qian is not at home. Han Qian doesn't like hot pot. She never mentions it, even if she wants to eat it. It can be said that apart from letting Han Qian stay at home for 3 years, Nuan did not force Han Qian to do anything he didn't want to do. Instead, he followed Han Qian's ideas. Warm and childish? She is childish. Mature. She is mature. She knows what things are worth fighting for and what things are not worth fighting for. It's just about food and drink. You can't kill someone if you don't eat. Arguing hurts feelings. She also saw some chicken soup on the internet. If a man loves you, he should tolerate you and pamper you. I love you and give you everything you want. Can there be love if we live together without dignity? It's just using the guise of love to satisfy your inner vanity desires. Love is bit by bit. Han Qian took care of her life. Even today, Han Qian never let Nuan wash her clothes once or wipe the floor once. Love is vigorous. When a dozen guns were pointed at him, he went to avenge her. When Nuan likes Han Qian, and she gives way to Han Qian. But now that you're eating hot pot, you can't stop your sister from killing everyone. After finishing the hot pot, Nuan patted his bulging belly and hummed softly. It's over. I can't leave. What should I do? Han Qian smiled bitterly. I'll hold you up. When Nuan groaned, waved to the waiter, and was about to pay and leave. The waiter took the bill and glanced at Han Qian, who smiled softly. I am married. The waiter was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized, smiled, and handed the bill to Nuan. After paying the bill, he stood up. Nuan held his stomach with one hand and his lower back with the other. Han Qian was worried that the girl would fall, so he stepped forward and helped her gently. The waiter walked in front to clear the way for the two of them. When they went out, the waiter smiled. No wonder Sir has been taking care of this lady. It turns out that she is pregnant. All members of the Ula Manchu clan wish you and your unborn baby the best. Han Qian smiled, with embarrassment on his face. He kicked Han Qian's calf, threw Han Qian away and strode towards the car. Han Qian suppressed his laughter and shouted. Slow down, you are pregnant with a child. Roll. After getting in the car, Wen Nuan punched Han Qian on the shoulder. Han Qian smiled and drove home. The smile on his lips did not disappear all the way. Nuan Wen felt a little panicked and pulled Han Qian's ears angrily when he got out of the car. Road. I won't give you a baby. No, you can't even think about it. On Sunday, he cleaned the house, turned off his mobile phone and refused all social interactions. Han Qian did the laundry, mopped the floor and wiped the glass, while Wen Nuan sat on the sofa, ate snacks and watched TV. Brother Qian, I want to eat oranges, please chop them for me. Han Qian, I'm thirsty. Han Qian, my slippers are here. Han Qian, I have to go to the toilet. My legs are numb. Han Qian squatted on the stairs and wiped them step by step. Listening to Nuan's various unreasonable demands, he turned his head and said angrily. Are you hemiplegic or an imbecile? Although he said this, Han Qian still walked to the sofa and said softly. Which leg is numb? Nuan lowered his head and pointed to his right leg, and then Han Qian slapped his right leg. The indescribable feeling made Nuan scream. You, don't touch it. Han Qian did not speak, but smiled and raised his hand again. This time, Wen Nuan panicked and scratched his hands in front of him, trying to stop Han Qian's prank. When Han Qian's second slap fell, Wen begged for mercy. Brother Qian, I was wrong, I was really wrong, don't touch me, ah. Bastard, you still touch me, or you touching me and fighting for your life. After being slapped for the fourth time, Han Qian went back to the second floor to mop the floor, leaving Warmth lying on the sofa with a face full of grief and anger. Han Qian almost made him wet his pants. Han Qian on the second floor was whistling. Kneeling on the ground and wiping the floor in Wen's room was dusty, and the girl didn't know how to clean it up. After wiping the first time and preparing to do the second wiping, Wen Nuan tiptoed upstairs, stood behind Han Qian and shouted softly. Brother Qian, are you tired? Han Qian turned around and grinned. No. Duan. With a muffled sound, Han Qian covered his head and lay on the floor. The next second, Wen Nuan sat on Han Qian's belly and spoke viciously. Okay. Xiao Han Qian, you dare to bully me now, don't you? You dare to touch my legs while my legs are numb, you can do it, admit your mistake. Sorry. No, you can't admit your mistake so readily. I don't have a sense of accomplishment. Please resist. If I don't resist, you hit me on the head. Be good, sister, I won't hit you. After saying the words, Han Qian sat up, hugged Wen Nuan with his arms, turned over and threw him down. The two lay sideways on the floor, eyes to eye, mouth to mouth. Han Qian held Wen Nuan's arms to prevent her from causing trouble. He smiled, she smiled too. Duan. Han Qian was hit and rolled all over the ground. Wen Nuan once again rode on Han Qian's back, slapped him on the shoulder, and said with a sinister smile. Come on. Are you resisting? Keep going, I won't hit you if I say I won't. Why are you so naive? Warmth. Han Qian simply stood up with Nuan on his back. Nuan was so frightened that he put his legs on Han Qian's waist and put his arms around his neck. Han Qian slowly knelt down on the ground and gritted his teeth. You still dare to lie to me? I tell you, little white-eyed wolf, you are completely done today. Hit me? Impossible. Wen Nuan strangled Han Qian's neck and lay back. The posture changed. Han Qian was lying in the warm embrace. The girl's legs were holding Han Qian tightly. No matter how much he resisted, he couldn't get down. Han Qian stood up with all his strength, walked to the bed and lay back. Oops. Wen Nuan let go of Han Qian. When Han Qian stood up and changed his head, a large quilt was thrown over him. Han Qian was covered in the quilt. Then he heard an ouch again, the basin overturned, and Wen Nuan ran away. Taking off the quilt and looking at the clothes that had just been folded on the bed and the water stains on the floor, Han Qian's anger level instantly filled up and he chased downstairs with a broom. Little white-eyed wolf, I'm telling you, you're done playing today. Ah! Domestic violence. Nuan's bare feet were running around on the sofa, floor tiles, guest room bed, and kitchen. Han Qian was chasing after him with a broom. Finally, he caught the girl in the second bedroom on the second floor. He held her by the collar and scrutinized her while she was messing around. A messy house. Han Qian went upstairs and took out his clothes and put them on Nuan, then took the girl's hand and went downstairs, drove out and made a phone call. Hello? A nursery rhyme? I'll send Nuan over to store it for a while. It's too noisy. Well, I took my mother for a physical checkup today and updated it in advance. I didn't sleep all night. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 621. After choosing the land, the Yamanman gave out the price on Monday, but Han Qian told the people at the Yamanman that he didn't want it. After all, it had no development value. The road from the urban exit to Yezai Pavilion was uphill, and the road was wide. It is flat, but there are deep ditches and depressions on both sides of the road, which will make it difficult to develop a community here in the future. No one wants to spend tens of millions to fill this hole. Therefore, Han Qian didn't want it anymore for a simple reason. I drank too much that day. Cheng Jin was so angry that he scolded this little bastard on the phone for not keeping his word, and Han Qian laughed. In this case, I will send someone to send you some money for tea. Roll. Cheng Jin hung up the phone, and Han Qian put down the phone with a smile. At this time, Yang Lan opened the door and hooked Han Qian, gesturing for him to come over. Han Qian curiously walked into Yang Ian's office. As soon as he sat down, a folder appeared. Put it in front of you and open the folder, which reads Opinions on Salary Adjustment for All Members of the General Department. But when Han Qian opened it, he found that it was blank. He raised his head and looked at Yang Lan doubtfully. Sister Yang, what does this mean? Yang Lan stood next to Han Qian, holding coffee and shrugging. Mr. Yan gave it to me personally this morning. I asked you to write it down. Your name is on it. You can fill in the numbers at the back and give me a reason. But if Mr. Yan scolds me, I will come back to deal with you. Han Qian frowned and whined. Sister Yang, aren't you trying to trick me? How should I write? Write 10,000 to Sul Yang and 6,000 to Yao Shui. Do you believe that Yao Shui can come in and tear my mouth out? No, Sister Yang, is it Yan? I always ask you to write, but then you are afraid of annoying people, so you ask me to take over. Yang Lan smiled and handed the coffee in his hand to Han Qian. Drink some coffee to refresh yourself. You really didn't ask me to do this, but I know that Mr. Yan saw that you were too idle and deliberately found something for you to do. I guess, after you finished writing, Yan, I will always call everyone from the General Affairs Department to talk one by one. I won't play anymore. I'm going home on leave. You have been working 6 days this month. Do you want your salary this month? Han Qian, who was about to get up, sat on the chair again, raised his head and complained sadly. Bad things happen every day, and they come to my house every year. After saying that, he received a slap on the forehead. Bad boy, don't talk nonsense. Opening the door of the office, Lu Zhulong's big face suddenly appeared in front of him. Just as Han Qian was about to speak, Lu Zhulong narrowed his eyes and smiled. I'm very optimistic about you, young man. Han Qian was furious. Bah, you deserve to see Sister Yang look down on you for the rest of her life. Deputy Lu, you must give up on this. I don't know if I'm dead or not, but if you write randomly, you might die. Returning to his seat, Han Qian saw that his cousin in front of him had a serious headache. Yao Shui stretched her hand under the computer and knocked on the table. Brother Qian. Don't. I'm not a brother, I'm a grandson. A pure grandson. As soon as he finished speaking, Han Qian took the folder and left the general department, leaving everyone behind with disappointed faces and thinking of bribing him. It seems that everyone knows this. What to do? Han Qian really didn't know how to write it. In terms of workability, Sul Yang might be very high, but what about Shan Shan and Qian Wan? Qian Wan Hao said that she didn't care if it was 250, but what about Shan Shan? This girl's ability is considered to be at the bottom of the general department. Write 4,000. I can't bear it, for fear that Yan Qingqing will be paid 4,000. Write 6,000. She's not worth it either. Shan Shan can't let Shan Shan know this, otherwise this little girl will definitely hit him to death with her car. The little bully of the general department back then has been reduced to the little Kinsey of the general department. He is too familiar, can't he punch this fist? I went to find Yan Qingqing with the documents, but was stunned by Xiao Yangjie who blocked the door and couldn't go in. He said nothing. Mr. Yan is missing. Then Han Qian went downstairs and drove straight to Yezai Pavilion. If you look for Yang Lan looks for me, then I will look for Yates. Now Han Qian would run to Yezai Pavilion whenever he had something to do, which made Su Hongchang feel unsure. He always felt that Han Qian was here to supervise him, but he really had nothing to do and had no choice but to run into the kitchen to help. He peeked through the kitchen window to see young Master Han lying in the backyard. Does this man have nothing to do all day? Yates didn't wear a black silk skirt today. Hearing that Han Qian was coming, he quickly changed into a suit. Except for his face and hands, No skin was exposed. Yates looked at the documents handed over by Han Qian and tilted his head. Road. You. Let me complete the task assigned to you by Yan Qingqing? Really? I won't do it. It's not within the scope of my job. Han Qian was sitting on the sun lounger, munching on watermelon. He held his mobile phone in his hand and sent a text message to the old man, asking how his family was doing and whether he had any money to spend. The old man replied that everything was fine. Han Qian smiled and raised his head. Road. Why are you dressed so tightly? Are you not afraid of the heat? I went back and thought about it yesterday. Even though I promised to let you fly, you can't fly just as you say. It seems very shameless to me, and yesterday I was scratched. I am your boss after all, right? It is illegal for a boss to sexually harass his subordinates. Then you are going to sue me? See who can come to arrest me at the Yamen gate. Post online to create public opinion. I may still be online now, and my name should be Wu Qingxi's rumored boyfriend. Yates went crazy, gritting his teeth and staring at Han Qian. Can't you just give me a little bit of space? Han Qian pretended to be aggrieved. Then you're up there. Okay. Mr. Han, I will book a room now. Whoever doesn't go will be the dog. Lu Shenga keeps calling me a mad dog, I don't mind. After hearing this, Yates turned around and left. Han Qian saw that the fuss had gone too far, got up and ran over, grabbed Yates' arm and pulled him back. This time it was Yates' turn to sit on the sun lounger and eat watermelon, while Han Qian took off his clothes and jumped into the pool with a splash, swimming in the water with all his life's knowledge. Dog scratching. And he swam very slowly. Han Qian was half a landlubber. He could splash in the water for a while, but he could only say that he would not sink. Yates glanced at Han Qian in the water. She smiled and trotted back to the hotel. A few minutes later, she came out wearing a one-piece swimsuit. She stood by the pool and said softly with narrowed eyes. Mr. Han, let me rub your back. As soon as these words came out, Han Qian panicked and pawed in the water with his foreclaws. The next second, Yates fell into the water like a mermaid. Han Qian swam forward with all his strength. He turned around and saw that Yates was gone. When he lowered his head, Miss Ye was in the water beneath him, and Han Qian shouted. Don't, goo do 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 do. Yates grabbed his arm and dragged him into the water. After struggling for a while, Han Qian's head emerged from the water. From now on, I will, goo do 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 do. In the end, Han Qian stopped struggling and stopped moving, letting Yates toss him back and forth. After Yates exhausted some of his strength, Han Qian found an opportunity to get ashore and stood on the shore and said angrily. Miss Ye, just wait, I'm going to pee in it. Yates sneered and said sarcastically. Come on, pee. I'm a little nervous and can't urinate. Next time, next time. Now Yates was not in a hurry to go to work. He was swimming in the water, swimming butterfly, with graceful posture and good swimming skills. Han Qian sat on the edge of the swimming pool and lit a cigarette and said calmly. I don't know how you talked with Luo Shen yesterday. I guess you two were not happy. One was Lu Shenge's assistant before, and the other was Lin Zongheng's fiancé. I don't care about this matter. I'll give it to you. One option is to run Yashai Pavilion well. Don't think too much. I don't care about you. The second option is to be my secretary for a week. If I think you are qualified, I can help you complete the villa plan and free you from being an assistant. With these two words, one can enter the upper-class business circle. Yates walked up the steps to the shore, shook his short hair, and said calmly. First of all, let's prepare your file, right? Han Qian smiled. I just like your intelligence, Yates, you have to cherish it. The girls around me are not stupid, but their reaction ability is a little worse than yours. If one day you lose your intelligence, I may also you lost it? Give you tomorrow. No, Yan Qingqing wants it this afternoon. Han Qian stood up and stopped Yates, who was about to leave. As a result, Yates puffed up his chest. Han Qian couldn't help but take 2 steps back, turned around and squatted on the ground and whispered. It's not that I'm afraid of Yan Qingqing, it's just that she will scold Yang Lan before I finish this. While speaking, Yates took Han Qian's suit and put it on him, speaking in a long voice. Mr. Han, can you live for yourself for a day? Think about yourself. What you hear most every day is to help this and think about that. Don't you want your own? Do you know that you are like this? The most distressing thing. Han Qian turned his head and grinned, showing his white teeth, and said with a naive smile. Please do me a favor. The General Department and I are very close. It won't be good if I write too much or too little. Hey. Okay, my Mr. Han, I'm going to change my clothes. Can we go back to Glory now? The party will be in a week. You really know how to find time to find things for me to do. Yates stood up and Han Qian whispered. You look good in what you wear. Don't let your hair grow long in the future. You look good with short hair. Oh, I'm going to get my hair extensions at night, the ones that go to the back. Looking at Yates's back, Han Qian clicked his tongue but said nothing. On the way back to the city, Yates sat in the passenger seat and scribbled with a pen. When he arrived at Glory, he handed the folder to Han Qian. Go ahead and hand in the task. I know Glory very well and have spent some time with Yan Qingqing. If you give this to her, I guess she will call the employees from the General Department to the office to talk. What to talk about? Talk about their salary requirements. If it exceeds your budget, Yan Qingqing will investigate and test the person's ability. If he is really capable, he will be retained. Otherwise, he may be transferred. As for the salary that is lower than yours, it's very common for Han Qingqing to use carrots and sticks to brainwash people, but I didn't expect that she would give this task to you. It seems that Yan Qingqing really regards you as her husband. Go and deliver it. Documents, I'm waiting for you in the General Department, my Mr. Han. The two separated in the company elevator. Yates looked at the closed elevator door and muttered softly. Silly Mr. Han. My mood collapsed yesterday, but the cuties in the group adjusted it for me. You are still very cute when you are not urging me to update. Please subscribe, please give me a monthly ticket, please give me a reward, okay. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 622. Yates was right. Yan Qingqing took the document and let Han Qian go out without even looking at it. Before Han Qian could return to the office, she met Suliang by chance. Suliang patted Han Qian on the shoulder. Either way, it's one knife. You tell me first how much you gave me. Han Qian raised his hands in surrender. Yates filled it out. I really don't know, but I guess you are not low-minded. Go ahead. I can't help you now. She kicked me out. Suliang smiled and walked towards Yan Qingqing's office. When Han Qian returned to the General Department, Yates was sorting out his computer. Everyone was staring at Han Qian. Walking behind Yates, Han Qian whispered. Mate, what did you say? I haven't spoken since I walked in. Mr. Han, your computer has nothing but games. Why do you act like Lushenga, playing games like a madman? When she was about to stand up while speaking, Han Qian held her shoulders and pulled a chair to sit down, smiling. Qianwan occasionally uses my computer to play games. I don't play much in the company, and the computer configuration is not very good. When I play games, I go to Mr. Yan's place. What you said is absolutely right. Suliang has been called over. How much did you fill in for him? 10,000, which is considered the highest salary in the city. It is similar to the salary of Honor's deputy director, but there are no bonuses or commissions. 10,000. This number was beyond Han Qian's expectation. He whispered. Why is it so high? Yates turned around and looked at Han Qian seriously, stood up, and whispered in his ear. My dear Mr. Han, can you please stop being so upright? You will still have to deal with members of the general department in the future. There is no airtight wall. They will soon know the numbers on the form. When the time comes, you will fill in the form carefully. If they take less, they won't hold grudges against you, but will thank you. If they take more than what you wrote, how will you get along with them in the future? Do you really think of yourself as Yan Qingqing's husband? You're stupid. Han Qian stretched out his hand to half support Yates's waist after he stood up, frowning, and whispered. You mean Yan Qingqing is cheating on me? Yates shook his head. No, she can't trick you. Yan Qingqing probably can't find anyone else she can trust. Yang Lan in your general department is as cowardly as Do. Yan Qingqing is worried that if she lets him write, she will be criticized by others. Damn it, you're not in the general department anyway. Yan Qingqing just didn't expect you to deal with these people in the future. If you dare to touch it, I'll chop it up for you. Unknowingly, both hands were about to touch Yates's chest. Han Qian quickly let go of his hands. He could swear to God that there was absolutely no intention of taking advantage in his head, not at all. It was because these hands were a little out of control. It is true. Han Qian retracted his hand nonchalantly. Yates sat on the chair, turned around and looked at the computer, and said calmly. If you want me to be your assistant for a week, you must first tell me what you are going to do this week, and then I can help you plan it. Also, let me tell you one thing. I am very expensive, but I am free to you. There were many people who wanted Yates to go abroad, and their annual salary was more than 1 million. Han Qian tilted his head and thought for a moment, clasped his fingers and murmured. Let's calculate the land with the Yamanman children. We have a plan with Lu Shenga and Lin Zongheng. Well, I don't seem to have anything to do. Over there at the nursery rhyme school. Don't think about school matters. I asked you about it half a month ago. Teacher Tong doesn't need any help from you. If you have time, I can help you make appointments with people in and out of the city. You go and meet them. It will be of great help to you in the future. First of all, there are a few upstarts in Bin County. I have calculated it. If Wu Qingxi wants to make a movie, you can find someone to invest in this movie and you will not lose money. Through this reason, you can have some contacts with businessmen in Bin County. Han Qian smiled and took out a cigarette. When he was about to light it, he realized that this was an office. He quickly put away the cigarette and whispered. Why do I feel a little regretful? If you were to be my assistant, I guess I would be extremely busy. You don't have to arrange anything for me for the time being. I have only been in contact with 3 people recently, Luo Shen, Lin Zongheng, and Lu Shenga. What do you think? Which one will you hand over for me? Except for Luo Shen, the other 2 are fine. I have no worries. You didn't, but I did. I'm worried that Lu Xiaojun was suddenly killed by you that day. You should be busy with Yezai Pavilion and Tu Xiao's security company. I've reached out, collaborated and talked. There will probably be a lot of people that day. The hunting garden in the backyard. The hunting park has started to be cleaned up and is not open for the time being. Controlled knives and other items have also been recorded and stored. And the money for the party. I've also communicated with the Yamanman. Is there anything else? Han Qian opened his mouth, and then sighed weakly. It's okay, I'm the one talking too much. While Ye Ji and Han Qian were chatting, Lu Guangming received the call and told Yao Shui to go to Mr. Yan's office. Yao Shui stood up, glanced at Han Qian with a somewhat panicked look, then closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Striding out of the general department, Suliang came back when she was leaving. On his face, Han Qian could see the slightest confusion. He was back after just a while. Suliang also saw Han Qian, nodded and walked towards the side. As soon as he took 2 steps, Shan Shan and Dian Hang pulled Suliang away. A group of people surrounded Suliang asking questions, thinking find some experience so that you don't go to Mr. Yan's office and don't know what to say. In fact, Suliang was also confused. Mr. Yan asked him to go to the office and ask 2 questions. Are you satisfied with your current salary? If your salary is mentioned as 5 figures, would you be happy or would you take it for granted? Regarding these 2 questions, after Suliang answered, Yan Qingqing asked him to throw away the trash can, and then everything was fine. Not long after, Yao Shui came back, with a face full of joy, humming a little tune uncontrollably, and was forced to ask only then did she learn that her salary had been increased. Everyone began to look forward to it, but as Shan Shan, Chen Jing, Gao Ming and others looked melancholy when they came back, those who held the fantasy began to panic. Shan Shan walked up to Han Qian, put her hands in front of her, and lowered her head. Head whispered, "Brother Qianer, I let you down." Han Qian didn't know what to say. He grinned, stood up and went to find Yan Qingqing. Why bother with these cuties from the general department? Pushing open the door of the general manager's office, Han Qian laughed happily as he watched Lu Zhuolong stand tremblingly in front of his desk and was scolded. Then he was glared at by Yan Qingqing, who put down the document in his hand and said indifferently, "Deputy Director Lu, you are an old man in the company. You and Yang Lan manage the general department. Yang Lan is in charge, and you are in charge. The members of the general department are lazy and have to deal with issues such as work. I can only talk to you about it. You can say it yourself. Tell me, do members of the general department deserve high salaries?" Lu Zhuolong was in a dilemma. He was worried that if he said that he was not worthy, Mr. Yan would start to cut the salary of the members of the general department. But if he said that he was worthy, the knife would fall on his neck. Lu Zhuolong turned to Han Qian and asked for help. At the signal, Han Qian stood up and was about to speak when Yan Qingqing shouted angrily, "Shut up, you don't have the right to pretend to be a good person here." Han Qian quickly raised his hands and gave Lu Zhuolong a helpless look. Lu Zhuolong lowered his head and remained silent for a few seconds before speaking softly. "Mr. Yan, I am willing to reduce my salary until the general department satisfies you. Go out and ask Qianwan to come over." "Yes." When Lu Zhuolong turned around, his forehead was covered with sweat. When he went out, he closed the door quietly. After the people left, Han Qian asked Yan Qingqing what she was doing. Why bother them when they have nothing to do? Yan Qingqing glared at Han Qian, then stood up and trotted to Han Qian, hugged Han Qian's neck and sat on his lap, saying softly, "There are so many departments in the company. I have taken the company's shares and am sitting in the position of general manager. Lu Shenga and the others will definitely trick these people into going against me. They will use the general department to scare the monkeys first. It's just pity that General Han wants to be my concubine taking the blame." Han Qian curled his lips and said nothing, and Yan Qingqing was not in a hurry to go down. It wasn't until Qianwan opened the door and walked into the office and saw Yan Qingqing sitting on Han Qian's lap that Yan Qingqing stood up and Qianwan said with a naive smile, "No, no, no, you continue, we are all one family, one family." After finishing his words, Yates appeared behind Qianwan and said coldly, "You and I are not from the same family. Mr. Yan, please respect yourself." Yan Qingqing squinted at Yates and said coldly, "Didn't you stop being my assistant? Why did you come back to glory?" "Yates, I will be quarreling with you for a while." "Wan, come here and I will ask you something." Yates glanced at Yan Qingqing, walked up and sat on the sofa and looked at her mobile phone. Yan Qingqing pulled Qianwan to ask if the members of the general department were talking about anything behind their backs. Qianwan Jiao said naively, no, but they were all talking about Han. Modesty. It's a pity that Han Qian didn't care. He looked at the mobile phone handed over by Yeji and said softly, "Why are you showing me this thing? Are you wearing it to show me?" After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 623. Being together with Jijing, Han Qian leaned in Jijing's arms, enjoying Aunt Ji's kneading. He took the washed grapes and threw them into his mouth without spitting them out. He took one bite at a time and watched the TV. Han Qian said lightly about the costume dramas starring Wu Qingxi. Lin Zongheng wants to kill Luo Shen. After saying the words, Jijing's hand paused for a moment, then continued to squeeze Han Qian's shoulders, smiled and did not speak, while Han Qian continued. Luo Shen and I wandered around the city for a day, doing it in a big way under the pretext of having an affair. I didn't understand it before, but I figured it out recently. She wanted to force Lin Zongheng to do something to me. I fell in love with Luo Shen out of anger. In the camp, it's a pity that she miscalculated. In Lin Zongheng's heart, she is not that important. Instead of taking action against me, Lin Zongheng decided to take action against her. Jijing picked up a grape and stuffed it into Han Qian's mouth, saying softly, "I don't understand." Han Qian turned around and pinched Aunt Ji's cheek, saying dotingly, "I know you don't understand, so I'm nagging you. If you don't tell me, I feel uncomfortable. If you tell others, you should get to the bottom of it. I still can't believe outsiders. The party will start at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and Lin Zongheng also chose to take action tomorrow. There is also Eunuch Lu who is meddling in it. I guess Luo Shen is in danger." Jijing smiled again and remained silent. This time, Han Qian couldn't help it anymore. He turned around and sat in front of Jijing, stretched out his hands to pinch Jijing's face, and asked with hatred, "My Aunt Ji, why are you so gentle? I am almost becoming an accomplice of a murderer." Aunt Ji tilted her head and asked weakly, "Do you have to kill him?" Han Qian shrugged, put down his hand, picked up a straw, stuffed it into Jijing's mouth, and sighed. "What should I say about this? I'm also confused. If Luo Shen is dead, I may speed up the killing of Lu Shenge and Lin Zongheng. That young man Luo Fu is not very smart. I want to find someone who can control him in the capital. I will operate behind the scenes. It shouldn't be difficult." Jijing leaned forward, blinked close to Han Qian's face, and said seriously, "My eldest nephew, are you short of money? In fact, no matter what you do, I like you and support you, but I feel it is a pity. Luo Shen is not yet 30 years old, and he is as young as a flower in his 20s, now it is easy to live or die. But it's hard to live after death. I'll cook for you, don't worry about this." As he was about to get out of bed, Han Qian lazily held Jijing in his arms and sighed. "The main thing is that I don't care. If I tell Luo Shen now that Lin Zongheng wants to kill her, she might not believe it. Instead, she thinks I'm trying to instigate a relationship between them. Besides, I'm worried that this is between Luo Shen and Luo Shen. Lin Zongheng set a trap for me." Jijing broke free from her arms, stood up, picked up her pajamas and put them on. After reaching out, she took out a cigarette from the bookshelf, put it in her mouth and lit it, then handed it to Han Qian and said softly, "Then let's just pretend we don't know and don't participate. We're not good people anyway." Seeing Han Qian smoking like a robot, Jijing hugged Han Qian from behind and begged coquettishly, Okay, don't worry, just in case nothing happens tomorrow. Then you lie down with me for a while. You don't want to eat anymore. Not hungry. Eat you. No shame or shame. This week Luo Shen didn't come to cause trouble. Han Qian's life was as dull as a mirror. This week, Aunt Lu Ji asked Han Qian if he wanted to eat anything. She cooked, didn't eat a few mouthfuls of food, and did a lot of physical work. In the afternoon, Han Qian was kicked out by Ji Jing and told that Han Qian could only come home once a month. If he didn't come more often, they would be jealous. He didn't want to quarrel with them over this matter. Han Qian nodded with a smile and went out. I was curious to ask why Ji Jing and Tong Yao couldn't get along. The answer given by Ji Jing is simple. Dislike. He blew a kiss to Ji Jing's window downstairs. Aunt Ji sent a text message. The screen was full of love you, love you, love you. After getting in the car, Han Qian rubbed his face. Yates seemed to have lost it recently. Ever since she showed him sexy underwear in Yan Qingqing's office that day, she disappeared from the world. If she hadn't asked Wan Fang and learned that Aunt Yates had a stomachache and was lying down at home, she would have thought that Lu Shenga had asked someone to give her to her. It was dropped. It's okay not to disturb. Lin Zongheng was sitting in the fishing garden, arranging the bait in his hand. This guy did not tie a fish hook, but hung a needle on it. Luo Shen hid far away, lying under the umbrella to bask in the sun, enjoying the tranquility of the afternoon. The only thing Luo Shen disliked in his life was fishing. Such boring things don't suit her character. In addition, she was annoyed by men fishing, which made her even more irritated. She fantasized about sunbathing in the Maldives to make herself comfortable for a while. It's self-comfort. Wei Tiancheng was caught by Lin Zongheng after taking refuge abroad and had to come back. He sat next to Lin Zongheng and looked at the needle and said softly, "Is Master Lin worried?" Lin Zongheng turned his head and smiled. "Yes. How can I not be worried? I have cuckolds on my head, one after another. I was thinking, if I sew the mouths of people who know about this with fishing thread, then no one will got it. What do you think, Boss Wei?" Sweat broke out on Wei Tianquan's forehead. Lin Zongheng chuckled, threw out the fishing line, waited for the fish to take the bait, looked down at the bait, and asked indifferently. When Luo Shen and Han Qian came last time, they were also sitting on the right-hand side of Boss Wei. I heard that the atmosphere was very good at that time. Lu Guangming shouted one after another, "Tisk, tisk, 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 tisk." I heard that the atmosphere was very good at that time. I heard that the atmosphere was very good at that time. Wei Tiancheng shivered, and Lin Zongheng raised his head and laughed. Just shout, what's the big deal? Women are like clothes, whoever wears them doesn't wear them, right? I'm just curious, why didn't Boss Wei tell me about this? Could it be that I, Lin Zongheng, am inferior to Han Qian? A little worse? You're wrong to think so. There are 4 outstanding young people in the city, Feng Lun, Lu Shenga, Han Qian, and I, Lin Zongheng. Why can't I compare to the 3 of them? Boss Wei, you not kind. At this time, Wei Tiancheng wanted to jump into the lake and drown himself, so he forced a smile on his face and softly apologized. Master Lin, what are you thinking about? I, Wei Tiancheng, owe everything to Mr. Lin. I. What are you doing? Giving Nuan a helicopter? Parking in Chang Xiang's backyard every day makes me sick. Oh, right, you're giving me a hotel, ha. Boss Wei is so generous, knowing that I, Lin Zongheng, want accept you and Zhu Kailong, and now give Nuan Hui to Nuan, tisk tisk tisk, you really know how to play, Using the wealth my family gave you to disgust my family, you are so awesome. Wei Tiancheng kept silent. He didn't know how to explain this matter. Could he tell Lin Zongheng that he couldn't afford to offend Han Jian now? If he said this, the Lin family would immediately retaliate against him. While silent, Lin Zongheng stood up and stretched. Ah, it's too hot today. I think Boss Wei is a little sleepy now, so let's go and cool down. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Zongheng grabbed Wei Tiancheng's hair, raised his leg and kicked him into the lake. Wei Tiancheng fell into the water, causing Miao Miao to scream. This scream also woke up Luo Shen. She glanced at it, and then he closed his eyes again. It has nothing to do with her. Lin Zongheng hit Wei Tiancheng on the head with a fishing rod and said with a smile. Boss Wei, aren't you much cooler? Who saved you when you were about to be killed by Tu Xiao and let you sit in the position of chairman of Huishan Group today? Have you forgotten? Or maybe these years? Have you forgotten everything you did? Have you forgotten why Tu Xiao's wife was bleeding profusely? When the child grows up and becomes rebellious, how should you educate him? Master Lin, I know I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. You know you're wrong, right? I'm a tolerant person. Did you remember your plan to blame Lu Guangming last time? Let's do it again. After saying this, Lin Zongheng threw away the fishing rod in his hand, stood up, turned around and shouted to Luo Shen. Honey, how about hot pot tonight? Okay. Luo Shen stood up and stepped forward to hold Lin Zongheng's arm. He left the fishing village like a golden boy and a beautiful girl. Only when Lin Zongheng's figure disappeared did Wei Tiancheng dare to climb out of the water and lie down on the bank and growled. Call Go De Peo and tell him to stop wandering outside. Miao Miao took out her mobile phone and went to make a call in the distance. Wei Tiancheng lay on the shore, gasping for breath and growling through gritted teeth. Han Jian. Luo Shen. Luo Shen sneezed when he walked out of the resort gate, then let go of Lin Zongheng's arm and said calmly. My promise to accompany you fishing is over now. You go find your miner, and I'll go find my temporary father-in-law. Don't disturb anyone. Lin Zongheng looked at Luo Shen, his eyes full of sadness and sorrow, and begged in a low voice. Luo Shen, please change someone else, okay? As long as it's not Han Jian, you can play whatever you want, even if I, Lin Zongheng, frown, I'm not a human being. If you didn't know this guy's plan, you would definitely think that Lin Zongheng was a man who always humbled Luo Shen and loved Luo Shen deeply. All his acting was of no use in front of Luo Shen. She narrowed her eyes and smiled. Don't look for Han Jian, I would have forgotten about him if you didn't tell me. Thank you for reminding me. My dear fiancé, I will let him wear a condom. I love you. I will still be your Lin family at the party tomorrow. A dignified and wealthy daughter-in-law. Luo Shen left immediately, waved his hand and took a taxi to leave. Lin Zongheng, who stayed where he was, his eyes changed from sad to feminine, and he sneered. The daughter-in-law of the Lin family. Are you worthy of a bitch like you? In the car, Luo Shen took out his mobile phone and sent Han Jian a text message. Han Jian, I feel something is wrong with the way Lin Zongheng looks at me. Are you hiding something from me? I received a reply quickly after sending the text message. No. Luo Shen breathed a sigh of relief and felt a little relieved. In his heart, if Han Jian was plotting against someone, it would definitely be someone who had already turned against him. His slender green fingers danced on the phone screen and a text message was sent. Let's roll into bed together tonight. I bought sexy lingerie, without a condom, and I took medicine. Ill. The text message came in, and the phone call followed. You bitch, are you sick? Are you seriously ill? Are you unhappy because I'm dying? Luo Shen took out a bright red banknote and gave it to the driver, opened the door and got out of the car, looked at the words Yezai Pavilion and said aggrievedly. No way. I miss you, what's the matter? Yan Ching Ching is still there when Nuan is by my side. Love so and so. I came to Yezai Pavilion to find Yates. Sir, do you want to give her a springboard? This woman is indeed very capable. If you want, I will show my sincerity and I will give you the springboard. Then what? How to repay you? Wear a condom. Get out of here. After the phone was hung up, Luo Shen laughed unladylikely, walked into Yezai Pavilion and shouted loudly. Yates, your emperor is back. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 624. Mr. Sir, I miss you so much. At the airport, the slim girl let go of her suitcase and ran all the way to hug the man who suddenly came to pick her up. When she left Jijing's place in the afternoon, Han Jian used Cai Qinghu's ID card to check her flight itinerary. It's been more than half a month since this girl left. To be honest, I really miss her. Without this girl chirping in my ears, I always feel like something is missing. I started waiting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and squatted on the steps at the airport entrance for 4 seconds. After an hour, she finally came out. Han Jian picked up Cai Qinghu and smiled. Thin. Cai Qinghu kissed Han Jian on the lips and whispered. Thinking about you makes me sick, and I don't think about food and tea. Let's go. Go eat. After getting in the car, Cai Qinghu reached out to grab Han Jian's collar and kissed them passionately. For a long time, Cai Qinghu, with a red face, leaned on the chair, his mouth was orchid, his breathing was rapid, and his hands were covering his stomach. It smells familiar. I drank some coffee at the airport. I'm not very hungry. Sir, are you really not going to the party tomorrow? It will be held at Yashai Pavilion. The city attaches great importance to this party and it is very safe. Han Jian drove slowly away from the airport and chuckled. Niu Qiudong seems to be honest lately, and he may not be scheming against me in his heart. I still won't go to the party. I'm not with you, so you can be safer. Cai Qinghu said oh, and then told Han Jian that he wanted to make noodles. Han Jian tilted his head, thought about it, and said softly. I have it at home, come to my house. Cai Qinghu shook his head gently. If you don't go to your house, go to mine. Good. Han Jian did not refuse, she knew what Cai Qinghu felt about Xiaojiju. A little separation is better than a newlywed. If you refuse at this time, she will be unhappy. Cai Qinghu was no longer staying in the hotel. He didn't know whether he bought the house or rented it. When he walked in, Cai Qinghu put his arms around Han Jian's neck. Everything was ready, but just when he was about to speak, something came from the dark living room. A resentful voice came out. Can you two please pay attention, I'm still alive. Cai Qinghu turned his head to look in the direction of the sound, but did not let go of his hands, and whispered in confusion. Eh? Why are you still in Binhai? Didn't you say you were going back to the capital to find a screenwriter? How about you go out and hide for a while? I'll turn on the light. No. Don't turn on the light. I just took a shower and I'm not wearing any clothes. You two continue. I'll go back to the room. I have headphones. In the dark living room, Wu Qingxi got up and ran back to the room barefoot. She heard the door closing. When Cai Qinghu was about to continue, the door was opened again. Wu Qingxi exposed her head and whispered. Do you want me to go down and buy a condom for you too? Roll. Cai Qinghu roared with anger. Wu Qingxi closed the door and stayed quiet. After being interrupted twice, the enthusiasm in Cai Kinghu and Han Qian's hearts was also cooled down. Cai Kinghu sighed and turned on the light. Han Qian squeezed her hand. Said softly. I'm going to make noodles for you. I've been busy for more than half a month. Have a good night's rest. Cai Kinghu pouted bitterly. What else can I do? This big light bulb is at home. Little carrot, I will buy you a house tomorrow. You must move out. After saying this, Wu Qingxi opened the door, exposed her head, and whispered. I didn't make any move. You continue, you continue. If you don't know how, I can give you some guidance. After all, I have read countless films and learned from several excellent teachers. Cai Kinghu smiled, and gently told Han Qian that she was going to change clothes, and then walked into Wu Qingxi's room. Soon after, playful laughter and Wu Qingxi's begging for mercy came from the room. Cai Kinghu, who has been a best friend for many years, naturally knew what Xiaoluo was. Where is the weakness? After more than 10 minutes, Cai Kinghu came out and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Han Qian's noodles were also ready at this time. Wu Qingxi followed closely and shouted that she wanted to eat noodles too, and claimed to be her sister-in-law. Brother-in-law can't be too partial. Han Qian smiled and nodded. What you said makes sense. Half of my sister-in-law's butt belongs to my brother-in-law. Come and let me touch it. Wu Qingxi blushed instantly and gritted her teeth angrily. You dare. Then he took Qinghu's arm and said coquettishly. Xiaohuo, look at this dog Han Qian, he is teasing me. Cai Kinghu lowered his head to eat noodles and said vaguely. I do not watch. Wu Qingxi pursed her lips and stared at Han Qian, then she leaned into Cai Kinghu's ear and said a few words. Cai Kinghu frowned, got up, took out a wooden box from the drawer in the living room, put it on the table, and said softly. The documents and other things are inside, are you taking them? After taking a look at the box, Han Qian shook his head. If you don't take it, this thing will be a trouble in my hands. Tomorrow I will lie down at home and not go anywhere. Nothing will happen. But you should just take this thing, just in case, even if the military is involved. Biao protects me, but I still don't trust him. My husband, you are too worried. How much trouble can hooking up a cannon cause? I'm not worried about hooking up with cannon. I'm worried about the other guy. This guy is as obedient as a robot. Cai Kinghu frowned and said in a deep voice. Who? Kui Li. Early in the morning, when Nuan went to the company to prepare for the party in the afternoon, Han Qian lay on the bed and continued to sleep. When he woke up, he looked at his mobile phone. After going to the toilet, he came back and continued to sleep. Anyway, Han Qian didn't want to get up. At 10 o'clock, Cheng Jin from the Yamanmen called. Boy, do you really not want that piece of land? If you don't want it, we will put it out for bidding at this afternoon's meeting. Han Qian sat up and said softly. I really don't want it. I've done some calculations and it's of no development value. How many people have Niu Qiudong prepared to go to the party today? I always feel like something is going to happen. Don't worry. As long as you don't go, there won't be any vendetta. Just stay at home quietly. I'll contact you after this matter comes over. Hanging up immediately, Han Qian looked at the phone that was hung up, sighed and lay on the bed. When it was approaching 2 o'clock, Lin Zongheng sent a text message. Luoshan and Gao Deipao are together, be careful. Han Qian glanced at the text message, sat up and thought about the truth of the matter. Didn't Lin Zongheng want to kill Luoshan? Why should I be careful? Does this text message mean that Luoshan is looking for a cannon to kill me? No reason. Han Qian was a little confused. Yezai Pavilion, Luoshan has not left since she came here. She stayed here at night and discussed the resort with Yates. She didn't mind spending money in Binhai City. No matter where the money was spent, as long as it made money. Moreover, Luo Shen's money was only used to buy Han Jian's trust. It was only 200 million, and the Luo family could afford it. Yates drank the juice from the cup and said softly, "Are you interested in the business in the back mountain if you come to participate in the bidding? Will you invest or the Lin family will invest?" Luo Shen looked out the window, watching Wei Tiancheng coming over with people from Huishan Group, and said calmly, "Don't. The Lin family is the Lin family, and Luo Shen is Luo Shen. We have nothing to do with each other. If Han Qian can stand in front of me, I dare to throw money at the back mountain. If he doesn't care, he can only give it to the Lin family." Yates. "I came to you before we talked about offering me a salary of more than 2 million yuan to be my assistant, but you refused, and now you are running to Han Qian to be a little maid. Are you willing?" Yates smiled slightly. "Mr. Han is very kind to me. Wei Tiancheng is here, I will go over and say hello." Luo Shen smiled. "Is it true that there are no bears in your Yezai pavilion?" Yates ignored this nonsensical woman. The two of them had known each other for a long time, but had little contact with each other. Yates walked to the door and bowed slightly to Wei Tiancheng, greeting him familiarly. Wei Tiancheng was very fond of Yates. Interested, he smiled and asked Yates if he was interested in taking a position in Xinggui Group. Yates smiled and changed the subject. Luoshan on the side was drinking juice and looking out the window with his back to everyone. Sudden. Dai Mei frowned, and he saw a familiar figure. Luo Shen couldn't believe that this guy dared to come back, thinking that it was just a silhouette. Just when she was about to think that she had made a mistake, this guy who was following Wei Tiancheng in the team raised his head and faced she showed a ferocious smile. Luo Shen panicked, stood up and took out his cell phone tremblingly and dialed Han Qian's number. Han Qian, I saw Go Depeo. He is in Yashai Pavilion." While talking, when Luo Shen went to see Gu Depao again, the man disappeared. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 625. Han Qian didn't move, lying on the bed looking at the roof. Lin Zongheng was right. Go Depeo and Luo Shen were together. Han Qian was a little unsure about who helped Go Depeo escape from Binhai City and who brought him back. Luo Shen had a criminal record. Could it be that last night she did you start arranging this matter when you went to Yashai Pavilion? Go Depeo was in Wei Tiancheng's team, and Wei Tiancheng admitted that he knew Go Depeo. What should we do now? Going to a party? Then he might have fallen into a trap. Han Qian thought about it and took out his mobile phone to call Lu Shengguo. Xiao answered the phone very politely and said softly, "Han Qian? You are looking for me. Well, Xiao Wu, how have you been in the capital recently? Is anyone bullying you? If someone bullies you, just tell your brother and he will help you beat him up. Your brother and I are our business. I am right. You still owe something. Then give Yates back to me. Let me tell you something. I just received news that Gu Depao is in Yashai Pavilion. Do you want to take revenge? Tell your brother about this. I understand. As a favor, I will entertain you when you come to the capital." Xiao Wu is really a good kid, Han Qian admitted in his heart. Of course, this may also be what Lu Shengge told him. Don't be arrogant or domineering. As a good boy of the Lu family, it is natural for a bad boy like him to take the lead in being arrogant and domineering. For Lu Shengge, who is so petty, how can he let Go Depeo pose a threat to his brother? Lu Shengge received Lu Shengguo's call and just told Lu Shengguo that he knew. After hanging up the phone, Lu Shengge showed no intention of taking any action. He held a red wine glass, put his legs on the desk and frowned in thought. He received a message in half an hour. Go Depeo would appear in Yezai Pavilion, and his target was Luo Shen. The bastard told Lushenga that after everything was over, Go de Peo would be handed over to him, and no one would care whether he lived or died. This person disappears from the world and no one will look for him. At that time, Lushenga asked Lin Zongheng, "What should Han Qian do?" Lin Zongheng pretended to be mysterious and replied with a smile, "Of course I can find a way to make him a vanguard. Now it's not up to him whether to kill Luo Shen or not." At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the bidding meeting at the Yamen Gate officially began. The leaders came forward to speak. Niu Qiudong, Cheng Jin, Li Jinhai, and Luo Shanda, the leaders who Han Qian could name, sat in the first row, behind them. They are the secretarial members of their respective departments, responsible for recording what happened at the meeting, and behind them are the entrepreneurs in and outside the city. A wealthy upstart and a shrewd and calculating capitalist. Here, Lin Mend is considered a veteran. On his left is Luo Shen, on his right is Wei Tiancheng, Yan Qingqing and Nuan Wen are sitting together. Wu Qingxi is a special guest, and Tu Xiao is sitting behind Nuan Wen, whispering, "The big dog beside me. Biozi, take someone to the parking lot to take a look." Guan Yunbiao stood up and took the people out. Tu Xiao gently patted the backrest of the warm chair and said softly, "Han Qian really isn't coming today." Nuan nodded and whispered, "I just sent a text message to ask. He is at home. It seems that he is not planning to come over." Tu Xiao nodded, listening to the person speaking on the stage. Tu Xiao said again, "There may be a small meeting later, I don't know when it will be held." Wen Nuan smiled and did not speak, but she cast her eyes on Luo Shen, and Luo Shen was also looking at Wen Wen, and playfully blew a kiss. Wen Wen was nauseated. Yan Qingqing glanced at Wen Wen, and asked in a low voice if she was pregnant. Wen Wen nodded and agreed. He told Yan Qingqing that she was about to give birth, and then asked Yan Qingqing, "Didn't you say you weren't coming? Why are you here again?" "To protect you, idiot." Originally, Wen Nuan wanted to come over to bid for the back mountain, but he didn't expect that the old fox Lin Mend also came. Li Jinhai, who was sitting in the first row, whispered, "Huh? It's a bit strange. The child of the Lin family, Lushenga of Glory, and our little brat didn't come over. Did they discuss it?" As the acting head of the municipal bureau, Li Jinhai felt strange about occupational diseases. Cheng Jin glanced back and said softly, "When you said that, I realized that the three most popular young people in the city were absent." Li Jinhai shrugged, and Niu Qiudong on the side snorted coldly. "No one will get into trouble, and no one will come when they are needed. From now on, no one will even think about walking around at the Yamen Gate. It seems like it will cost them a lot." "You said the three of them won't come today. Many businessmen from other cities in the province came, but in the end this project fell on outsiders. Where do you want me to put my face?" Just listening to Niu Qiudong's words, no one will doubt that he is not a good official. At least in the hearts of Binhai city citizens, Niu Qiudong is the best parent official. Cheng Jin smiled. "Why are you angry? The three of them didn't come. Aren't the companies and financial backers behind them all coming? Changxiang, Glory, Shuncheng, etc., that's it? Let the children rest, they are in their youth. What are you doing with us lifeless old men?" Niu Qiudong turned his head and glared at Cheng Jin. "Just indulge them. Director Li, tell the people outside to patrol more carefully. The people who came here today must not make any mistakes, especially that group of women, and let the representatives of each company speak. At least come on stage, there are countless things to do. I don't even know if I can finish this meeting in one day." The secretary behind him got up to prepare. Wang Kai, the spokesman of Shuncheng Group, the warm cousin-in-law, was excited and vividly told Shuncheng's ideas for the development of the back mountain. They didn't mind if their ideas were plagiarized, but what they were afraid of was that they would not be plagiarized. People come to steal. Then people from Changxiang came to the stage to speak. When Yu Shizai was about to go on stage, Lin Mend arranged for others. Nuan stared at Lin Mend like a little tiger, gritting his teeth in anger. Yan Qingqing stretched out her arms and put her arms around Nuan's neck and whispered. Okay, there are so many people watching. If you want to slap him in the face, just let the poem come up later. With your ex-husband protecting you, you can do whatever you want. Be good and pay attention to your image. There was a lot of quarrel at home, but outside Yan Qingqing was very dedicated to protecting Wen Nuan. Just like last year in Yuanzhi Kailong, when Yan Qingqing was able to stand in front of Wen when facing gangsters, Wen always remembered this. The same is true today. Nuan snorted and whispered. Why is this old guy not dead yet? May the disease defeat him. After finishing his words, Lin Men turned his head and looked here, as if he heard a warm curse. Looking at the several women gathered together, Lin Men asked in a low voice. Tian Cheng, when did the little girl from Glory become so close to Wen Nuan? It's been like this a long time ago. I heard that the traitor threw you into the lake. After I found out about this, I gave him a whip. Regardless of right or wrong, you are an elder. There is no reason for you to be bullied by a junior. But you did let me quite disappointing. Wei Tiancheng lowered his head and said nothing, already starting to curse in his heart, saying that I let you down. Where were you when Han Jian sat on my head and shit? But I only dare to think about this, but I dare not say it. Fortunately, Lin Men did not continue to ask questions, and the matter seemed to have been put aside. Various companies came forward to speak. When the speeches ended, it was almost dark outside. There was also the Dongcheng land bidding matter later. Niu Qiudong ordered dinner to be served at 7 p.m. Click to start bidding. Cheng Jin smiled. You are so impatient, so be careful. Cheng Jin stood up and waved to Wu Qingxi in the distance and took her downstairs. The dinner was very lively. Cheng Jin and Niu Qiudong at the Yamen gate became the objects of fawning, but they did not sit at the same table. Cheng Jin sat at the warm table, and Niu Qiudong and Lin Men sat at the same table. This is a little strange. There were many people toasting, but I had no appetite for the warmth. I asked Yates in a low voice if the chef of Yezai Pavilion was a car repairman, and Yates smiled bitterly. Vice President Wen, please don't embarrass me. I think you are being tricked by Master Han. These hairy crabs were delivered this morning. You can try them. Wen Nuan smiled naively. Then I won't be polite. Cheng Jin whispered while holding the wine glass. Tu Xiao, how are your people doing patrolling outside? Is there anyone suspicious? Tu Xiao shook his head. I don't know. Bio Z is still patrolling with people. It's hard for our security guards to check too carefully in some places. You have to ask Li Jinhai to check. I always feel that something will happen. Hey, I hope everything is okay. Bar. While talking, Lin Men came over with a wine glass. Tu Xiao glanced at Lin Men and others, snorted and ignored them. When they were young, the older generation was no less noisy than Han Jian and the others are now. Lin Men smiled at Cheng Jin, but his goal was warmth. Niece, why are you so depressed? Do you blame your uncle for stealing your limelight today? Nuan held a crab in one hand and said with a naive smile. Uncle, you are really right. Thinking that Zhong Hong could not come today, I planned to show off for a while. What a pity. You covered me up. You can't do this next time. It's so annoying. Ha 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 ha, Uncle knows, you girl has a special liking for crabs just like you did when you were a child. It's almost time for the king crabs to be plump. By then, I will have people fly them over from Antarctica. I'll wait for you, girl. When I'm busy, I take Xiaoqian around the house and we are a family. I know, Uncle, you are still so verbose. Everyone thought Wen Wen was rude, but little did they know that such rude talk reassured Linmen that Wen Wen was still the same heartless little girl. As soon as Linmen left, Li Jinhai came over with a gloomy face, pulled Cheng Jin aside and whispered. Something really happened. I finally understand why these three little bastards didn't come to the party. Cheng Jin frowned and said in a deep voice. What happened? People reported that Feng Lun appeared in the west of the city and Kui Li appeared in the east. They seem to be looking for something. What should we do now? Let the armed police be dispatched. Cheng Jin's face instantly darkened, he was silent for a few seconds, and whispered. Mobilize the street government offices and withdraw all police forces from Yezai Pavilion and hand them over to Tu Xiao's security company. Don't alarm the people. Tell the policemen at the government offices to pay attention to safety. When necessary, they can put their own lives first. Cheng Jin doesn't think it's honorable to sacrifice one's life, so if you have to, you, the director, will rush to the front. I understand, why don't you keep some? No need, Tu Xiao can trust me. Li Jinhai left in a hurry and returned to Lin Zongheng, who was confused. Where did the little god go?